Finally, The Rock has come back to YouTube. No, I don't know. What? Austin 316 just said, I just whooped your ass. Welcome to When We Were Young. And man, when I was young, I was a die-hard wrestling fan. When I was in elementary school, I think elementary school, then when I went to junior high a little bit, but then I stopped. I stopped because it got old, everybody left, and it was a new age. I was a wrestling fan in the Attitude Age. Even a little bit before that. I absolutely loved everything about wrestling. When they say it was fake, it's not fake. It's not. They're bleeding. I was in denial. Total denial. I met one of my best friends because, I had a birthday party and I had a lot of wrestling toys, and I had the ring and I had the cage, and I couldn't figure out how to put the cage together. And he actually was a friend of a friend who he invited to my birthday party, which I didn't even know the guy. And he comes and he helps me out, and that's when we became friends. So I could tell that whole story. There's more detail, but that's basically the gist of it. And then we became friends, and we both had this rivalry. He likes the Lakers. I hate the Lakers, so... But going back to wrestling, man, Stone Cold Steve, can I get a hell yeah? Stone Cold Steve Austin was my favorite wrestler. This dude was attitude. He didn't give a fuck. He said, fuck you to Vince McMahon. He had an awesome finishing move, the Stone Cold Stunner, and he had an awesome belt. That Smoking Skull belt was so badass. I always wanted to get a replica of it. I still will. Someday I will. And I always wanted the shirt where he's like, he's how he goes like this on top rope or whatever, and he has the snakes on there. I always wanted that shirt. So, man, Stone Cold was my favorite wrestler. I always rooted for him. I hated it when he became a villain. I thought, damn it, man. Why Stone Cold? But I still rooted for him because he's, Stone Cold, that's my dog, man. That's my dog. And then you have also wrestlers that were badass. The Rock. The Rock and Stone Cold, their rivalry was amazing. I absolutely loved those two when they were on the mic, when they were going at each other. But The Rock had so much charisma. His mic skills were untouched. Nobody could mess with The Rock. He was like, oh, you want the people's strudel? He just was amazing. He was awesome, especially with him and Mankind, and they had that little tag, the Rock and Sock connection. That was awesome, man. I mean, The Rock was the shit. And then you also had the Undertaker. When the Undertaker came through, when he came with that chopper, when he had those days when he was like an outlaw biker, that was sick, man. Kid Rock playing I'm American Badass. It was awesome. And then Kurt Angle, before he got super huge and monstrous, like he was just this Olympic wrestler who was like this clean cut kind of guy. Great person to hate. He was just hilarious. He was a goof, man. He was a goofball. And then you also had, you had the Hardy Boys, you had the Dudley Boys, you had Edge and Christian, you had DMX, you had Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, you had Triple H. Triple H, you hated Triple H, but you could respect Triple H, especially when he was going against The Rock. He was going against Stone Cold. He was one of the best, but he was never going to be as good as The Rock or as big as The Rock and Stone Cold. But it was always great to see him and his rivalry between those two. And then he had the Big Show. The Big Show was okay with me. I mean, the Big Show was always cool. He seemed like a really cool guy. Chris Jericho was one of my favorites too. When he interrupted The Rock, and The Rock just totally just fucking nailed him with just zingers all night. He's like, oh, who the fuck is this jabroni? Absolutely loved it. I loved definitely the old style, like the Royal Rumbles. I loved when Stone Cold, at that one point, everybody was waiting for Stone Cold to come out. He came out, he kicked ass, he threw everybody off the top rope. Also loved Shawn Michaels, loved Bret Hart. All these wrestlers, all these names. I mean, this was the golden age. I was there when they did TLC, the first tables, ladders, and chairs match. that was amazing. Seeing the Hardys versus the Dudley Boys, it was just amazing stuff. WrestleMania used to be so badass. What happened? What happened? We're in the PG era now. We have John Cena. We did have CM Punk. We have all these other wrestlers. I just cannot get into it. I did order WrestleMania about maybe 3 years ago. It was when Triple H versus The Undertaker and Stone Cold, The Rock made his first, he was hosting that WrestleMania that year. I hated it. I thought it was just, the matches were boring. It definitely looked fake. It did nothing for me. Even the Triple H and Undertaker match was so sloppy. You think that match would be so memorable, but it was so sloppy. And plus, The Undertaker is how old? And when he tried to do that MMA move, it just did not work at all. And then I wanted to see The Rock confront Stone Cold, and I loved that moment. I loved when those two went face to face, but that's really all you got. You didn't really see Stone Cold too much in that WrestleMania. I want one more match. If there's ever a time where Stone Cold versus The Rock gets one more match and they agree to it, but Stone Cold's health issues and stuff, that's why he retired. But if it ever happens, wherever it is, I'm buying my ticket and I'm going to go see that match, because that's what I absolutely loved, was Stone Cold versus The Rock. I don't know. I had all the WrestleManias when they, went one-on-one with each other, and all of them were great. And you know what? It just seems like it could have got better and better and better, and it did. It got better and better and better. I think we just needed that one more match to make it just complete it. Just really complete it, especially with Stone Cold losing in the last one. Absolutely loved those two when they went at each other. Now, Hulk Hogan I didn't really necessarily like too much, but the Hulk Hogan and The Rock fight was not too bad. But Hulk Hogan I was never really a big fan of. And of course, he had WCW coming into the WWF. I thought it had great potential to be something, but I think that's what really killed it. I think that's what lost my interest, was all this stupid storyline that was going on and these other wrestlers that were not very appealing. The only wrestlers I liked from the WCW era was Goldberg and Sting. Man, did I absolutely love wrestling, though. I also remember getting, I think it was for Easter, my parents or somebody gave me these WWF tickets. Man, I always wanted to see a live match, be there. Only time I went, totally worth it. Went to No Way Out. We had Stone Cold versus Triple H. 3 matches. You had an Iron Man match, I believe. First Blood match, I believe. Then Hell in a Cell. Of course, Triple H won that match, but Stone Cold gave him a stunner at the end. It was a fantastic match. Gritty. I think it's actually one of the best matchups. They have it on the countdowns. It's one of the best matchups. It was really that damn good. We also had The Rock. I forgot who The Rock was the champ at that point, I believe. There was The Rock and Kurt Angle. Yeah, I saw the Big Show. I saw Undertaker coming out with his chopper. Just amazing stuff. Absolutely had a fantastic time. Wouldn't change it for the world. My mom you could see my mom in the footage when you watch that whole event. So she got to be on TV, but not me. And I had 2 freaking signs of Stone Cold and Rock. I put my heart and soul into that. And I wasn't able to be on TV. They didn't get me. They didn't move a little bit more. Damn it. Well, anyway, so yeah, when I was young, wrestling was the shit. It was awesome. It was attitude. There was no hold barred. There was cussing. There was stunts. I mean, you had Stone Cold coming with a beer truck. You had Kurt Angle at one point coming with a milk truck. And, you had like people getting buried alive. You got cars being smashed. I mean, you had so much attitude in that era. It was so much fun to watch. You had puppies, right? JR and Jerry the King Lawler, man, 2 of the best commentators I've ever heard in my life. Those guys had great chemistry. It was just amazing. I loved when JR says, "Oh, Stone Cold, Stunner." I absolutely loved JR when he got all riled up. I mean, it was just a great time to be a wrestling fan. It was a great time to talk about wrestling. But now I feel there's still, people who are still loyal, especially back in the Attitude Era. They still watch their wrestling. But I just think it's just not as good. I like the women. I like the women. But overall, I think wrestling has slipped down a little bit. Especially, you see all the tragedies that happened from the Attitude Era to now. I mean, with Chris Benoit, with Eddie Guerrero. I mean, just a lot of, even Owen Hart, man. I remember when Owen Hart passed. I thought that was very tragic as well, just that stunt going wrong. I mean, a lot of things happening over the years. And then you had Stone Cold retiring. He was really in a bad place. And then you had just a lot of things just going on with wrestling. Now we have the PG era, and it's just not as good. The storylines are really weak. The rivalries are not good. I think the main issue, though, with the PG era is not necessarily that it's PG, but the wrestlers are not that great. John Cena is not that great. He's not very... he just doesn't. He's very popular. He's very popular. He has to be. I mean, this is the only guy who's really, that star quality. But you don't have like you used to have, like Undertaker back in the day. You have the Undertaker still a little bit. You don't have that Rock. You don't have that Stone Cold. You don't have that really Shawn. I mean, all these wrestlers got old. They're done. Their star faded away. Except the Rock. The Rock's always going to be amazing. Hulk Hogan. I mean, Hulk Hogan used to be a big old star, but now he's just like, he's an old guy. He's an old guy. And then of course we have Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is such a douchebag. I don't know how anybody would like that guy. That guy is just such a douchebag. I don't know why he's in. I absolutely hate that guy. I can't believe he's married to Sable, honestly. But I mean, it's the wrestlers. Honestly, it's the wrestlers. It's pretty much their characters that they create. Their characters do nothing for me. There's nothing cool about any of these characters. John Cena, there's not too much. He's not really that cool. He went from rapping to marrying. It's not. It doesn't do it for me. It doesn't do it for me, but it does it for a lot of these new generations. I guess it isn't for me anymore. It's for a lot of new generation. But you see the old wrestling fans really commit to this and really still stick with it. But when I was young, I was an Attitude fan. I was a wrestling fan. I had everything, toys, collectibles. I went there. I met China. I met China. I could have met Chris Jericho, but we didn't have time for that. But man, wrestling back in the day was everything to me. Absolutely loved it. Had 2 sodas, hit them together, down both those 2 sodas. I mean, wrestling was amazing back in the day. But now, especially after this WrestleMania, I mean, people thought it was pretty good, but I just think wrestling has kind of just lost its mojo pretty much. It's lost a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of good things in today's wrestling, but a lot of bad things too. So overall, though, that's when I was young, when I loved wrestling, when I loved the Attitude Era. So thank you guys for listening. Subscribe, like, and I will make more videos of when I was young and when you were young. I think you guys all remember when this stuff was a big, huge hit, and wrestling was a huge commodity and hit, and it still is. It still is, definitely, and it's not going to go anywhere. So hopefully it does get back to not the Attitude Era, but to basically back to the greatness, the golden years. So thank you guys for listening, and see you guys later.